Wanda Maximoff, also known as Scarlet Witch, is surrounded by friends and family, basking in what feels like the happiest moment of her life. Beside her is her husband, Vision, who is filled with pride as he watches her holding their children. Everything feels perfect, normal, joyous, and full of love. When suddenly, a calm but firm voice cuts through the moment, speaking the words she doesn't want to hear. It was Charles Xavier. He tells Wanda that none of this is real. Her children, her husband, her friends and family, all are constructs of her own uncontrollable powers. Tears stream down Wanda's face as she clings to her babies, desperate to hold on to the life she has created. But reality begins to tear around her. The dream shatters into fragments and she finds herself back in the cold, unforgiving reality. Sobbing uncontrollably, Wanda broke down, consumed by the guilt of what she has done. The heroes of the Avengers she destroyed, the husband she lost, all the pain her powers caused when they spiraled out of control. Eric approached Charles and asked about his progress with his daughter. He informs Magneto that his power will no longer be enough to hold back Wanda and that a solution must be found. Eric, blaming himself for twisting his children through the strength of his own dreams and ambitions, walks on a magnetic field towards the center of the island to be alone. High atop Avengers Tower, Professor Charles Xavier calls a meeting of the Avengers, the X-Men, and several lone heroes to decide the fate of Wanda Maximoff. The room is filled with tension as the mighty heroes debate what must be done in this situation. Emma Frost, after reading the minds of the heroes present, suggests that killing Wanda is the only way to end her destructive magic. Her statement ignites a fierce debate, as Captain America argues that they should explore other options. He insists that killing a member of the Avengers is not the solution. The X-Men express their concerns, warning that if Wanda's destructive powers becomes public, it could undo years of progress between humans and mutants, setting back their fragile relations by centuries. As the discussion continues, Xavier reveals that he had previously sought help from Doctor Strange to contain Wanda's magic. However, even with their combined efforts, neither was strong enough to stop her. Wolverine, as blunt as ever, speaks up. He insists there is no other option. Wanda must be killed to prevent further destruction. Despite the differing opinions, the group ultimately agrees on one thing. They need to speak to Wanda in person before making a final decision. So the Avengers make their way to Genosha to visit Wanda Maximoff. Upon reaching her bedroom, they find it empty. Confusion spreads among the heroes, and suspicion quickly turns to Magneto. They suspect he may have taken Wanda, hoping to shield her from their intervention. But with the help of Emma Frost's psychic abilities, the group successfully locates Wanda and Magneto, and without hesitation, they immediately head towards their location. The Avengers grow wary of any unusual signs. Each member tries to detect potential threats or any mystic patterns around them, but nothing seems out of place. None of the heroes notice anything, except for Spider-Man. He alerts the group that his spider sense, which detects danger, hasn't stopped since they began their search. But before Spider-Man can elaborate, the group reaches Wanda's location. Suddenly, the Avengers begin to disappear one by one, and Spider-Man, left alone, is engulfed by a mysterious white light in front of him. After the light disappeared, the old world was gone. Steve Rogers is seen living a normal life as a retired veteran. Emma Frost and Cyclops are married. Carol Danvers is a popular superhero. Doctor Strange works as a psychologist. And the rest of the heroes live altered realities without any memories of the past events. But there is one exception. Confused about what happened and where he is, he decides to go outside and discovers that the world has completely changed. Wolverine's entire life from the real world flashes before his eyes.
We need to decide the fate of Wanda Maximoff.
Mystique attempts to ask him what's wrong and suggests that he see Madam Web if there is a problem. Instead, Wolverine leaps off the helicarrier, crashing into the side of a building. And as he looks around, he realizes he is in a world where mutants now rule the planet. Attempting to make sense of the strange world he finds himself in, Wolverine decides to steal a motorbike and heads to the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning. However, when he arrives, he discovers a family has been living in the mansion for 15 years and has no recollection of Charles Xavier. Unable to contact Professor X, Wolverine then heads to New York. His next move is to find either Peter Parker or Tony Stark, so he went to the lobby of Stark Tower to look for them. However, he is stopped by his former teammates. Now part of the elite Red Guards, Wolverine asked them how they found him, and they revealed that they had placed a tracker on him and were ordered by S.H.I.E.L.D. to bring him back. But Wolverine refuses to comply and strikes Agent Drew in the face. The Red Guards were forced to open fire and chased Wolverine as he makes his way out of the building. Wolverine manages to get away with his motorbike. Nightcrawler uses his teleportation powers to try to catch him, but he fails miserably. Wolverine tries to speed up, but a mysterious man in a blue cloak suddenly appears in front of him, causing him to lose balance and crash. Wolverine gets really angry, so he stands up, and to his surprise, sees his former teammate, Luke Cage. Wolverine calls Luke Cage by his name, leaving Cage to wonder how Wolverine knows him. Before they can talk further, Luke Cage insists that Wolverine has to remove his tracker first. Hawkeye arrives and threatens to shoot Wolverine if he doesn't get rid of the tracker. When Wolverine asks everyone to calm down, Hawkeye shoots an arrow through his neck, spilling blood on the floor. As Cage and Hawkeye argue, Wolverine's healing factor enables him to recover within 30 seconds. Just as he chastises them for not taking the tracker soon, House of M-type sentinels storm their hiding place, killing all they see. Cloak is barely able to recover what was left of Cage's group, including Cage himself and others, into Kingpin's office. After Cage explains that they were curious how the S.H.I.E.L.D. Red Guard's star agent Wolverine went AWOL, Wolverine explains how he remembers that reality was warped by Wanda Maximoff to make mutants the dominant species of Earth over regular humans. Hawkeye tells him that the Wanda in this reality is human. Wolverine also tells Hawkeye that Wanda killed him in the normal reality. When asked how does he remember, he answers that his greatest desire is to remember every detail of his life that was mostly mind-wiped. Only Xavier could have found that out, and Wanda must have granted his wish. Cage is willing to believe him all because of the girl, Layla, who also knows that this reality is wrong, showing him that his real life is supposed to be with Jessica Jones and his child. Wolverine guesses that she must be a special mutant to realize this. He then asks for a phone book. Cloak teleports everyone to the Summers residence, where Wolverine is stunned to discover that Cyclops and Emma Frost are married. When Emma enters and sees a group of non-mutant strangers in her home, she assumes they are burglars. Using her telepathy, she silences everyone and begins reading their minds. However, she pauses when she reaches Wolverine, realizing he knows her. She then turns her attention to Layla. Her powers awaken Emma's memories of the previous reality. Horrified by the truth, Emma declares they must find Magneto and his family and kill them for creating this warped reality. Wolverine, casually opening the fridge and grabbing a beer, tells her they'll need more allies to stand a chance. But even then, there's no guarantee they can save the world. Inside Layla Miller's head, Emma Frost analyzes what her powers are. Apparently, given that they are simultaneously psychic and not psychic, capable of awakening the unconscious memories of a person even in a reality warp, she is described as a conundrum. Emma offers her to coach Layla to help them gather any heroes to save the world. When they return to the physical world, Cyclops enters the room, confused by the unexpected gathering in his home. Before he can question what's happening, Layla, with Emma's guidance, uses her abilities to awaken his memories of the original reality. The sudden rush of overwhelming truths causes Cyclops to stumble and vomit as his mind struggles to process the revelation. Cyclops immediately asks about Professor Xavier. Wolverine steps forward, explaining that they have no idea where Xavier is and that he isn't at the Institute in this altered reality. However, Wolverine assures him that there are others they can locate who might help them. Peter Parker is enjoying a peaceful day with his family when the awakened heroes suddenly appear before him. Layla restores his memories, and Peter struggles to process everything, especially upon seeing Gwen Stacy and Uncle Ben alive. Peter Parker is overwhelmed and decides to run off. While Emma telepathically suggests that Peter's family go to the park, Wolverine tracks Peter to a nearby rooftop. There, Peter tries to convince himself that it's all an illusion created by Mysterio. After a brief conversation, Peter, now filled with rage, declares his intent to beat Magneto and his family to death with his bare hands. The heroes proceeds to locate and awaken other heroes, starting with Kitty Pryde, Stephen Strange, Carol Danvers, Tony Stark, Jennifer Walters and Matt Murdock, and the rest of them. However, when they find Steve Rogers and see the frail state he is in, they decided not to awaken his memories, knowing he wouldn't be able to contribute much to their mission in this condition. Emma explains to the assembled heroes their theory, that Magneto used his daughter, Wanda, to create this world and used Xavier's power to discover and grant their deepest desires so they'd feel comfortable. She then asks if there are any doubts. All the heroes agrees, except for Hawkeye, whose thoughts she is able to read. She asks that he allow Layla to awaken his true memories, but he refuses to have his head poked in. Wolverine and Murdock sense the Red Guard's approach, who crash through the wall. As the fighting begins, Rogue grabs Layla's hair and demands that they all surrender. However, her exposed finger touches Layla's skin, causing her to absorb her power and quickly awaken the rest of the Red Guard. Mystique, shocked that she was in a relationship with Wolverine in this reality, slips him across the face, breaking her hand. Danvers then notices that Hawkeye's gone. As everyone adjusts and asks for a plan, Wolverine states that they must go to Genosha to get the whereabouts of Xavier from Magneto. Emma Frost leads the assembled X-Men and Avengers on board the helicarrier, using her telepathy to prevent anyone from seeing or hearing them. She then plants a command in Captain Greycrow's head to set course for Genosha. A Latvian aircraft arrives in Genosha. Once the aircraft docks, Dr. Doom disembarks to shake hands with Eric, mainly for the pictures. Cyclops organizes the X-Men and Avengers into 3 teams to distract Magneto while Doctor Strange and Emma locate Professor Xavier. When one of the guards, Fantasia, senses the approach of a sentinel bearing down on the city, Magneto and Polaris were able to stop it in mid-air with their magnetic powers. Then, out of the sentinel came the awakened heroes, attacking as hard and fast as they could. Even Rogue tackles Namor and Storm to absorb their powers. Elsewhere, Cloak brings Emma and Layla Miller to the Xavier Memorial Garden. Emma collapses to her knees when she realizes that they have failed. Professor Xavier is already dead. However, Cloak checks beneath the stone. He noticed that there are no bones inside the grave, meaning that this fight is not over yet. The battle between the awakened heroes and the House of M continues in an all-out war. Rogue herself absorbs a huge amount of mutant powers to help them win. Pietro takes cover behind Polaris's magnetic shield to protect Wanda. They notice that Wanda's body is slowly fading. Quicksilver becomes furious and assumes their attackers have caused this. He dashes at Rogue using his speedster ability. As soon as he reaches her, he gets blasted away by Rogue's power. Amidst the chaos, Doctor Strange's astral form notices a bright light coming from one of the towers. He decides to investigate. Phasing through it, he finds Wanda playing with her twin boys. The body disassembling outside is revealed to not be her real body. Strange tries to reach her with words, questioning her about the reality. He also asks if she was the one who created Layla. She claims she doesn't know. He then shows her the battle outside where their friends are fighting. Wanda laments that he just wanted everyone to be happy. Doctor Strange witnesses the past before the alteration of reality. The one she refers to as he is revealed to be Quicksilver. When he pleaded with their father to do something, Magneto didn't know what to do. Even Wanda was considering ending her own life. However, Quicksilver convinced her that she could use her powers and Xavier's to create a better world where everyone, including their friends, could have their greatest desires. Doctor Strange, shocked by this revelation, relays the information to Emma Frost, but before he can ask Wanda about Xavier's whereabouts, an arrow stabs her in the back. The shooter is Hawkeye, furious at Wanda for betraying him. Hawkeye says that he was willing to give his life for her, but instead she killed him in the previous reality. After she removes the arrow, one of her sons renders him non-existent. Wanda then starts having another breakdown, one she can't control. Meanwhile, in the Xavier Memorial Garden, Magneto finds Emma, Layla, and Cloak. He asks them why they are attacking his family. Layla panics. Her powers accidentally affect Magneto, showing him the truth about everything. Magneto gets so mad and returns to the battlefield to confront his son, Quicksilver. Quicksilver argues that they were going to kill his sister. Magneto retorts that Quicksilver used Wanda and him, something he would have never allowed. He uses huge pieces of metal to beat his son to a bloody pulp. Suddenly, Wanda appears and cries when she sees her brother in such a condition. She revives him, then lashes out at her father, telling him that mutants are not gods or rulers but freaks. He chose world conquest over his own children. In a moment of silence, Wanda says,
"No more mutants."
In a blinding flash, the House of M world disappears into nothing. Layla Miller wakes up in a new reality. At the Avengers Tower, Peter Parker wakes to find his wife Mary Jane by his side. Rushing to the Avengers conference room, he finds a mix of heroes, some who remember the events of the House of M, and others who do not. Meanwhile, at the Xavier Institute, Emma Frost wakes up to discover that most of the students have lost their powers. Using the Cerebra, Emma determines that the global mutant population has dropped from millions to only a few hundred. News spreads quickly about mutants worldwide suddenly losing their abilities. The Avengers grapple with the reality of what has occurred. Captain America and Ms. Marvel press Doctor Strange to locate Wanda using magic, but Strange admits he can't find any sign of her. Just then, Iron Man and Jarvis report a break-in at the ruins of Avengers Mansion. Upon investigation, the team finds Hawkeye's costume pinned to the wall by his arrows, along with an article about his death. In Genosha, the X-Men find a powerless Magneto living in ruins. They ask him about Wanda's whereabouts, but Magneto tells them he has no idea. Wolverine, consumed with anger, considers killing him, but ultimately decides to leave him to live out his powerless non-mutant life.